I came to the U.S. from the Dominican Republic when I was 16 years old. My mother settled right here in the Bronx. Hi, I'm Sammy Ravelo. My American story began in Walton High School. I studied and worked after school bagging groceries at the corner bodega or pumping gas at the local gas station. When I graduated, I joined the U.S. Navy. In our military, I learned the importance of working together for a common cause. I fought in the Gulf War that liberated Kuwait from Saddam Hussein. After my enlistment, I came home to the Bronx. I enrolled in Bronx Community College and applied to join the police department. For me, it was an honor and privilege to serve the NYPD for 25 years until I retired as a lieutenant in 2019. One of the highlights of my service was to be a first responder and survivor to the terrorist attacks of 9/11. I was part of a department of thousands of officers and civilians that partnered with local communities to make New York City and the Bronx the safest big city in America. But that has all changed. Crime has risen to levels not seen since the 1990s. Rents are out of control, and the borough has the worst healthcare outcome out of all the counties in New York State. Career politicians have failed us, and now they're asking us to give them a new job. I say no. The Bronx has been hit the hardest during the worst pandemic in our lifetime, and we need a real champion who will fight to help us in the recovery. I will be that champion. I am Sammy Ravelo, and I approve this message.
Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. And today's video is going to be a brand new video, part of my video series of breaking up the two-party duopoly. And in this new video, I'll be talking about another third-party candidate that's actually running for another local election, and his name is Sammy Ravelo, and he's actually running for Bronx Borough President in New York City. No, it's not mayor this time, but it's another local position in New York City. But he's running to be. If you do live in the Bronx County area of New York, he's running to be your Bronx Borough President, and he's running as the nominee of the Conservative Party. And previously, he was running to be the Democratic nominee to be the Bronx Borough President. But as a Democrat, but he eventually lost due to ranked choice voting within the Democratic Party's primary. He lost the primary to Vanessa Gibson. I could be pronouncing that wrong. And now he decided to run as a third-party candidate, which is the Conservative Party. Which, in that note, the Conservative primary election was completely canceled, and they decided for Sammy Ravelo, it was okay for Sammy Ravelo to advance from the Conservative Party primary for Bronx Borough President. And so now the Conservative Party have their own party's nominee for Bronx Borough President. And I know I talked about this in one of my videos, like in my part of my Fixing American Democracy series, episode 9, where I talked about why closed party primaries is the best is the best primary election for us to produce a much more healthier democracy. And I also talked about this with other people I talked about this with another person on Twitter, and why I actually still support closed party primaries. And I understand the people who are advocating for a nonpartisan general election with ranked choice voting. And I understand them. You guys want you want to give voters an equal say of who becomes who is elected. You really want to encourage. You want to actually elect more moderate candidates, and I completely understand that. But you can still do that with closed party primaries, because with ranked choice voting in a closed party primary and in the general election, when it comes to a closed party primary election, the parties can have completely consolidated their support around one candidate. The Democrats here, as you see right now, they've consolidated their support around Vanessa Gibson. So a majority of voters are satisfied with their nominee. And now the general election is just between a Democrat, a Republican, and Sammy Ravelo. And I completely understand this, but I understand you guys. I completely understand the people that are advocates for open primaries and nonpartisan elections, but I don't think that's the way to go. And I think that the best system, I know it's the best system to do, that I think we can reach consensus on, is that I think the best solution is to, like in some states, like in Ohio, is to get rid of sore loser laws. So if someone loses his party's primary, if it's for president, for governor, lieutenant governor, and so on, or even mayor or Bronx Borough President, like what Sammy Ravelo did, he can then take his resources out from he can take his resource that he raised and all his supporters that voted for him in that one primary, and he can say, you know what, I'm going to actually run as a third party candidate or independent candidate because the resources are there for me and the support is there for me and the political and the voting structure is there for me to run as a third party candidate or maybe independent candidate, like what Sammy Ravelo did. He lost the Democratic primary, so now he's running as the nominee of the Conservative Party. And that's what, in my opinion, I think that's what we can reach consensus on. I think that's where I think we can reach consensus on, where we can keep closed party primaries, but we also get rid of sore loser laws. So if a party fielded a primary challenge with an incumbent because they want to get rid of this moderate out of their party or out of the U.S. Senate or out of the U.S. House, like what some people are saying, like the Democrats should primary Kirsten Sinema in 2024 and elect a more progressive candidate. Well, with getting rid of sore loser laws, if Kirsten Sinema, and with ranked choice voting, if Kirsten Sinema does lose her party's primary, she can then take her resources out of it and run as an independent candidate. And I think, in my opinion, that can also apply in Alaska, because if Lisa Murkowski loses the Republican primary, she can then take her resources and run as an independent candidate. And she was successful as an independent candidate. And I think that, in my opinion, will help reach consensus. And I think that will help I think that would be a better solution rather than open primaries, because I think, honestly, in my opinion, general elections should always be nominees from different parties. Where it's a Democrat, it's a Republican, it's a Conservative Party member, it's a Libertarian, it's a Green Party person, independent candidate, and so on, all having different, having a completely different vision. And with ranked choice voting in the general election, same like what was used in the party's primary election, where the party can consolidate their support around a nominee that satisfies a majority of their party members, then it will ultimately produce a much more healthier democracy. Because when it's the general election time, when it comes to ranked choice voting in the general, with nominees from different parties, if they want to get to a majority threshold, they're going to have to form coalitions from nominees from different parties. And how they do that under provincial voting, they have to be a little more nicer to their political opponents and not attack them as much, and try to actually form a coalition with them and to get their voters to rank you second. So it gives you a better chance of winning the election, of getting to that majority threshold of winning that election. And I think that will ultimately create a far more healthier democracy with closed party primaries and getting rid of sore loser laws. So now let's talk about the main topic of this video, and that is Sammy Ravelo, the nominee of the Conservative Party, running to be Bronx Borough President. And like all my other videos, I will leave his Twitter and his campaign website in the description below. So if you guys want, if you do live in Bronx, the Bronx County of New York, feel free to check him out. The election will take place on November 2nd, 2021, and check him out, because he's a third choice for you guys. So you're not really locked between a Democrat or Republican, even though he was a Democrat, but he's running as the nominee of the Conservative Party. And consider checking him out, because ultimately everybody has good ideas, everyone has good policies, and a good everyone has their pros and cons, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses of how has good policies on cracking down on the major issues of your city, or or any other community of making your communities, your neighborhoods, a better place for everybody. So the main reason for his run, like as it says on his Twitter, it's time for new leadership in the Bronx. The same politicians playing the same game in a different chair won't work. It's time to keep our citizens safe. Violent crimes are out of control because of our career politicians, and just like that, that's the main reasons for his run. He wants to keep the people in the Bronx area of New York City safe from crime, where everybody has the freedom and the liberty to actually pursue their life, to pursue a life in New York City the way they want to live it. And now let's actually go even further and actually talk about him actually as a person. So, and now let's talk about him as a person, about Sammy. Sammy Ravelo was born in Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, to working class parents. His father owned a small business and his mother was a pharmacist. Sammy is the third born of 6 brothers and sisters. Due to the economic and political uncertainties in the Dominican Republic and the desire to give her children a better life, his mother decided to permanently move to the United States. Sammy came to New York on a travel visa, stayed and lived undocumented for several years. He was later sponsored for permanent residence by his mother. He attended Walton High School in the Kingsbridge section of the Bronx. After graduating and unable to afford college, he worked a variety of jobs, such as bagging groceries at the neighborhood grocery store and pumping gas at the local gas station. And just like that, he's not all successful, but he did make it through life, and now he's running to be the Bronx Borough President. He understands what it's like going through hardship, because he was unable to afford college, and he worked a variety of jobs just to support himself while also trying to find ways to actually go to school and be successful that help them excel in life. And now let's actually keep talking about him. He has a long career in public service. He was a U.S. Navy veteran, and he was a U.S. Navy veteran, and he was a retired NYPD lieutenant in public service. In 1988, he received his permanent residence, which put him on a path of public service. Shortly after receiving his permanent residence, Sammy joined the United States Navy. He's a veteran of the Persian Gulf War that liberated Kuwait. After completing his military service, Sammy returned to the Bronx and enrolled at Bronx Community College. While in school, he joined the New York City Police Department as a police cadet. After graduating, he was promoted to police officer and served the people of New York City for 25 years. He received several promotions, retiring as a lieutenant. It is his experience while serving in the New York City Police Department that he observed the impact of gun violence and the need for sensible gun laws. The impact of an immigration policy that creates an underground economy and forces people into the shadows. The impacts of an economy that does not work for everyone. The devastating impact of the opioid crisis. The impact of disastrous housing policies that hurt poor and working class Bronxites and New Yorkers as a whole. Sammy is the father of 2 sons, Sammy Jr. and Kevin, whom he raised in the Morris Park neighborhood of the Bronx. And just like that, he has a long career of public service. He was a Navy veteran that fought during the Persian Gulf War that liberated Kuwait. He has the experience of keeping people safe because he was a police officer in the New York City Police Department, where he observed the impact of gun violence, and he knows what policies and actions that needs to happen to keep the people in Bronx County safe, and he will bring that as Bronx Borough President. He has the public service experience, and he also has other experiences that actually will help make the Bronx area a safer place for all people in New York City. Now let's actually talk about some of his agenda that he plans to do for the Bronx. So for crime and safety, as a retired lieutenant of the New York Police Department, Sammy knows how to handle law enforcement. He understands although defunding the police makes for great politics, it makes for poor policy in the most vulnerable parts of the Bronx. The NYPD needs to be fully funded to continue to improve its expanded training in mental health and de-escalation. The police department is not perfect, but we need to make sure our officers are supported and put in place so our citizens can enjoy walking around their safest and greatest borough in New York. And that's what he wants. He's completely against defunding the police. He wants to actually, he wants to fully fund the NYPD Police Department, where to improve its expanded training when it comes where they can actually deal with mental health issues and helping de-escalating the situation in areas of the Bronx. And he wants to make sure that all of the NYPD officers are supported and making sure that they're keeping the citizens there safe in New York. So, and as well, when it comes to, and it's not just there, he has other areas that will help make the Bronx a better place for everybody. And when it comes to for housing, we must create a pipeline from public housing to home ownership. We need to start investing in our tenants over our developers and putting the control back into the hands of the people who live here. As borough president, I will work with turning over ownership of buildings to nonprofits, allowing low-income families to start owning and building generational wealth amongst its citizens. And just like that, he wants to put more control back in the hands of the people, and actually help them actually loosen up a lot of the government regulations to actually make housing a lot more affordable, and also and make housing quality a lot better in the Bronx area of New York as well. Another area that he also supports, and this is something that he he had a hard time with in school, is in education. The Bronx has been behind on education in the city for decades. I will advocate for more city funding to increase our graduation rates and give our graduates the real-world tools for the jobs of tomorrow. I want to eliminate high-stake testing. Teachers are being forced to teach a test rather than using those tests, where their students need the most help. We need to shift the culture on testing. Schools are overcrowded. We need to invest in school infrastructure and build more schools. And I advocate to fund schools to increase pay and support for public school educators. By 2026, ensure $100 billion of investment to Title I, II, and III. And when it comes to higher education, I support free CUNY. I support canceling all student loan debt, and I want to increase investment in trade programs which can provide anyone with a steady job in a demanding market. And just like that, and that's his policies on education and housing and crime and safety. And I'll leave the rest of his policies for you to actually look at and actually evaluate. What do you think about him as a candidate or person, where you can make a final judgment if you want to actually vote for him as your first choice preference, or if you want to actually rank him second, or if you want to rank him second. And so in the comment section below, talk about him as a candidate. What do you guys think about him? And like what I said before, he would also make a good Bronx Borough President that can produce and create a better society for all people in the Bronx. If it is fully funding to improve the extended training that NYPD need in dealing with mental health or de-escalation, or if it is also canceling student loan debt and increasing investment in trade programs that can provide anyone with a steady job in a demanding job market. Things like that, like what Sammy's advocating for, to be your next Bronx Borough President, to help create a better quality in the Bronx, in New York City. And it's things like that will help, that he believes, to his best knowledge, will create a better and safer area in the Bronx in New York. So overall, in the comment section below, talk about him as a candidate. And what do you guys think about him? Would you, if you do live in the Bronx, would it be someone that you would consider voting for, or maybe ranking first, or ranking second on your ballot on November 2nd, 2021? Because you guys do have the option of ranked choice voting for local elections this time around in the year of 2021. So you can hear what he's saying and what type of policies and vision that he's advocating for to help make your lives better, and to help improve upon the quality of life for all of you people in the Bronx, to make where everybody has a life, can have a life and a liberty to pursue what they want, and what they want to do to make their societies, their communities, their neighborhoods a better place for all people. So in the comment section below, talk about him in the comment section below. What do you think about him as a candidate? And also feel free to talk about other third parties and independent candidates that are also running for office in 2021, 2022, or 2024 and beyond. And I will talk about them as a candidate, because we're always striving to keep up the fight, where we will at some point break up the two-party duopoly and reimagine America for generations to come. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, this is the Young Centrist, and I am out.